Shalom, Pastor Talk, coming back at you with the truth, giving all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahshua B'Shem HaKadosh. This is going to be real quick. This is from Sonetta Studios. Garfield, the title's Garfield versus the Hebrew Israelites. Live in Brooklyn. It's on. So this is a 9-minute excerpt clip from the actual debate, which took place Saturday. I thought it was going to take place on a Sunday. It took place on a Saturday in Brooklyn. You should be aware of who or know who Garfield is. He came on the scene, I would say 2016. First time I heard him speak, it was off of the FDR in Manhattan, around about 96th Street. There's a park there, if you know the city. And there's the first time I saw him. He did like a little presentation, and Sonetta filmed it. And the first thing that he got into was Israel, that we're not Israelites. I don't know all the details of it, but that's the first time I saw him. First time I saw him speak, he was all about, we are not the Israelites. And that's pretty much from 2016 up until now. He's still pretty much his whole life seems like is based upon the fact that we're not Israelites. Kind of reminds me of Vocab Malone. Nah, you guys can't be the Israelites. The Israelites never existed, whatever. But anyway, it says Garfield versus the Hebrew Israelites live in Brooklyn. It's on. Now, when they show the whole thing, I'll watch it. I'll say this concerning the leader Sakari. He titles himself, he fancies himself as Chief High Priest Al-Azhar, which he could be Al-Azhar from the past during the time of the 70 AD, that whole time in history. And he could have been, there was the actual leader of the Sakari that broke off from that broke off from the Zealots, and he started his own thing. And when you look up the word Sakari, going to the origins of the word, it literally means dagger. And what they would do is they would revolt against the Romans or any Israelite that were pro-Roman. They would pull out daggers and they would stab people up, kill people, and I believe they would run. Yeah, they would run because it was like guerrilla warfare. All right. Anyway, he did a very good, 9 minutes, 15 seconds, did a very good presentation, linking us mainly to Levi, because he claims to be Levi, back to, I think he did a DNA, matter of fact, he did do a DNA test. I think it was 23andMe. And he linked his line back to the people of the Sudan. The Sudan is, I'll show you where the Sudan is. So the first thing should pop into your head, well, that guy's, he's a Hamite. He's tall. He's got to be a Mizraimite. Let me go find this. Bear with me for a minute. I don't want to lose this page. Okay, let me just slide this to the side. And what I wanted to do was get a map of the Sudan. Get a map of the Sudan. Map of the Sudan. Sudan. Okay, Sudan, 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 where you at? Okay, the Sudan would be, let me pull this up. This is the Sudan. Sudan is right here. Israelites, for the most part, were here. So the first thing that came in my mind was, oh, he got it. Well, according to that, he got to be an Egyptian. But he went into the history of how we were scattered. We went into Egypt. Remember, there was a community in Egypt. You had the Alexandrian Jews, and we were pushed out, the Sudanese, along with anybody else, Israelites mixed among the Sudan people, down into Sudan. You look at the phenotype of a person, a Sudan, original Sudanese person. I believe that's north, because Esau was behind that North and South Sudan. At one time, it was all one country, Sudan. Anytime you see it, North Sudan and South Sudan, Esau's involved in that. You got a North Korea and a South Korea. Esau was the South Koreans. Esau was the South Koreans. The North Koreans were backed by the Chinese communists. So, but in this case, it had to be Esau. This was recent. This is, I don't know, 15 years ago. They declared South Sudan and North Sudan. And I believe the North Sudan are darker. The phenotype is super dark black. And their phenotype is that of the ancient Egyptians going back. We're going back well more than 2,000 years ago. We're going back 35, 4,000 or more years ago. You know, if you go to the Met in Manhattan off of Fifth Avenue and around 86th Street, as soon as you go in there, you go to the right, that's the Egyptian section. And them people are known for their height and how black they were, you know, super dark. Now, when you go to that same section, you'll see people that look like Israelites. Well, guess what? They were Israelites. And the Israelites ranged from a dark brown to a light brown, almost look Latin. If you ever get a chance to go there, go to that section. There's a lot in there, and you can click. And then when you go in there, pull out your smartphone and go to the people of the Sudan and go to images, and they're going to be known for being super black. Really, they're brown, dark brown, no such thing as a black person, and very tall. And they have a certain feature to their face, which are different from Jake over here in America. You know, Jake's is talking about, oh, my ancestors go back to people of Sudan. Oh, well, it could be if you're Israelites or of another nation mingled among the people of Sudan. All right. So now let's come back over here. Yeah, so watch this. Very interesting. Very interesting. He did Al-Azhar did a very good presentation. You know, I clap, you know, take my hat off to him. If I had a hat on my head, I don't wear hats unless it's cold outside. I wear a hood. But anyway, he did a very good presentation. But the point is this: our job is not to convince Israelites that they're the people based upon archaeological digs or 23andMe, you know, carbon dating 14 or 16, whatever the hell you call it. If you don't get it, we're moving on. We're telling you that you're Israelite. We're going to go into the scriptures. Romans 8 always comes to mind, 16. The spirit witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. Not by digging up stuff and this archaeology and DNA tests and all that. But you know what? It's good to know. And he did I would say he did an excellent presentation. But guess what? The people that came in there that were pro-Hamitic, Kemetic, which Ham goes back to the word Kem. Kem goes back to the word Chum in the Hebrew. We know that those people that came out of Noah, the son of Ham, was known as, his name was Chum, or that's where you get the word Kem from. Chum. Who was the brother of Chum or Kem? He had two brothers. He was the second boy. The youngest boy was Shem, where we came out of, we were dark-skinned people, and the oldest son, the firstborn of Nawak, was Shem, I'm sorry, Yapat, which means to enlarge. And they were all dark, by the way. They got this theory by, I believe it's Johann Blumenbach, which said Noah had 3 sons. The white, I believe that was Shem, or Japhet were white. Shem was Chinese or whatever. I believe Japhet was so-called Chinese Oriental-looking people. Ham was the black people. They do agree. Scientists even agree to that Ham in the Bible, those are the actual descendants of the Africans, right? And then you got Shem, which they say the small house came out of Shem, which they did, but a whole lot of people came out of Shem. Chinese people, if you want to go back to the beginnings of Moab and Ammon, they were Shemites. They were Shemites. Esau, which are you so-called white people, they're Shemites. They go back to Shem. We go back to Shem. East Indians go back to Shem. Arabs, Middle Eastern people go back to Shem. Okay, so let me do this here. Okay, I wanted to leave you with a couple. I didn't want to make this long. Leave you with a couple of precepts. If I can find it, where is it? Bear with me for a minute. Because Jake is trying to find out who they are by genealogy. And there was so much mixing going on. You got to go by the spirit. You know who you are based upon the spirit. And I'm trying to find this tab here. Trying to find this tab here. Bear with me for a minute. Where the hell is it? Damn, man. Let me just do it this way. Let me do it this way. Okay. Genealogy comes up, I believe, 15 times, and genealogies come up 8 times. And we don't prove anything based upon genealogy. I don't have a record of who my father's father was. We know that we're Israelites through the spirit. First Chronicles 5 verse 17, all these were reckoned by genealogies right back then, in the days of Jotham, king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, king of Israel. That was after the split, obviously. Then we all lost it. Very few people that can totally trace back there. In other words, a person that said, "Oh, I can trace my lineage back to Aaron the high priest," I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And the Romans destroyed the records. So the only way we know that we're Israelites is through the spirit, which is the scriptures. Okay, there's 2 times in the New Testament. First Timothy 1 verse 4, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogy. And this is what the head of Sakari was doing. which it's interesting. If he was getting down, I'm not knocking him for that. But I guarantee you, all those people that came in there, where am I at? Let me find this again. All them people that came in there, let's say you had the Kemetic crowd on one side and the Israel crowd on the other side. When everybody left, guess what? If you came in Israelite, you left out an Israelite. If you went in a Kemite believing in the Kemetic way, ancestry and all that, you did the DNS, you went to 23andMe and all that, guess what? You didn't leave as no Israelite. I'll be surprised if any of them changed their thoughts of who they think they were. Regardless of all this information, this good, very good information. If you're a study of genealogies, if you want to find out that you are who you are based on genealogy, did an excellent job. Can't say enough for them, but you know what? We're not going to get on that. You'll never see us going to that. You'll never see us going to these whole books. For making them many books, there's no end. Much study as a weariness of the flesh. We go by the Spirit. We know who we are by the Spirit. The sign, I don't got to break down each tribe of the sign. We know through the Spirit. When Ariel presented the sign to us, the Spirit clicked. Yep, we're the Israelites. Now, he did go into the scriptures, but you can show the scriptures, Genesis, Deuteronomy 33, Genesis 49. Jacob called his sons together, gather yourself together, that I may tell you what happened, what shall happen to you in the last days. And then other parts of the scriptures, Hosea, different parts of Chronicles. And you bring those all together, and it made all the sense in the world when it was presented unto me. But you can go to some other Jake and say, well, I don't see it. I don't see it. So guess what? The only way you're going to get this truth and wake up to the fact that you're an Israelite is that the Most High has to open your eyes. The Most High has to open your spiritual eyes. There's nothing that Garfield can tell me that, yo, I was wrong. I'm a Hamite. And by the way, all these guys that push that Kemetic shit, it always leads back to what? West Africa, because they're all Israelites. They're in denial. They're kicking against the pricks. As the Lord told the Apostle Paul, you kicking against the pricks. You heard yourself. And ultimately, you're going to be destroyed. So anyway, let me come back over here. Okay, what happened? Genealogies, all right? New Testament. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions upon questions upon questions, rather than the Most High edifying, most highly or godly edifying, which is in faith, so do. So we know that we're Israelites based upon the Spirit, which is the scriptures. Spirit, what is that? John 17 and 17. It speaks about the Spirit of truth. I come in the volume of the book and it's spoken to me. It's a spiritual thing. We're connected spiritually to that book. Titus 3 verse 9, but avoid foolish questions and genealogies and contentions, because it adds up to what? It adds up to fights, word fights, debates, constant debates, constant debates, constant debates. Guess what Sarnett is going to come up with? Who do you think won that debate? So some people, Garfield won that debate. Alazar won the debate. And then there's really not going to be no winner. So why debate in the first place, other than to make some money and to be in the spotlight? We're not into debates. If somebody comes up off the street and we go back and forth, that's a debate. There's going to be a big debate about the upcoming fight with Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. You're going to have people saying, I think Terrence is going to win. And I think Spencer's going to win. So those are debate. Why? Because he hits harder. He's bigger. He's a natural welterweight. This guy came up from 130. That's debates. That's debates. MJ and LeBron James, Kobe, Dr. J. That goes back to my era. Who's the real GOAT? guess what? Some people are going to say Kobe. Some people, if Kobe didn't get injured at last few years, he would have been the #1 guy. He got knee injuries or whatever the case may be. You're going to always have debates. You're going to always have debates. So after this debate is done, they're going to have more debates, splinter debates. So it says, Titus 3, verse 9, but avoid foolish questions and genealogies and contentions and striving about the law, for they are unprofitable and vain. Anyway, with that, watch the video. Alizar did a very good, he likes researching. He's a researcher. He likes doing that. I don't necessarily, I dabble in it, but I don't get caught up in the names and dates. But he made some very good points. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna say shalom.